Good morning or afternoon or evening, Copic fans. Michelle Houghton here. I am bringing you a newer stamp from Kraftin Kimmie Stamps. Sorry, tongue twisting this morning. So I stamped this set out 3 times, once with a little message in the beanbag chair, and those two kind of with my dark black memento ink, and then this one with a light pink ink so I can do some no line coloring. So I was about to start the skin, and I realized that if I go ahead and do all the skin, I'm going to lose not only, I'm going to have trouble keeping track of her nose, but also her eyes. And then she also has a small smile, kind of quirky off to the side. She also has eyelashes, and I don't realize that part until the very end. And so I thought they were maybe more like eyebrows, and so I kind of left those to the side. I should have done those in black as well. One of the reasons I usually will stamp in black as well is I can keep that beside me, or the stamp itself, and look for details that I'm having a hard time seeing in my pink ink. So I'm going to start with an E50 for the skin. And I am going ahead and doing her arms and her ankles and her face all at once. E53, and see, that's where I'm pulling that other image over to kind of make sure I'm finding those pieces, like her nose, where those angles are, getting the fingers correct, because she's got these long, skinny fingers as it's holding the book pages. And that part in particular, that area, was hard to see in the pink. Then I'm also using a very small amount of E11 that adds a little bit excuse me, of kind of peach or rosiness to the image, and so I do like adding that. Blending that back with the E50, softening those, and I'll go back and forth between those a few times to make sure I get everything nice and smooth. But when I blend, I start on the darker color and then pull that into that lighter area. I add a tiny, tiny bit of E93 at the cheek for a little bit of blush, but it's only on the one side. We really can't see that other side. So the hair I am basing with a YR31. If you've watched any of my videos, it's one of my color kind of go-to hair base colors. And the reason for that is I really like kind of the blonde and kind of reddish undertones. YR24 is next. Now you'll notice with that first one, I only hit the highlight areas. This girl's got these great curve, wavy hair kind of curls. So what I hit as highlights is the part that's moving away from her. Then I'm coming in with the YR24, and I'm starting at the base of each of those little curves and kind of flicking up onto the curve. So this color is going to go in closer to her body. So it creates these little mounds. Now that the skin is dry, I'm going back in and I'm adding a little BV20 for cast shadows and deeper shadows on her face. Then I'm going with YR27 back to the hair. These are going into those same dark corners, but in less amounts. The other place you're going to notice it gets a little bit darker, besides kind of the lower corners of each of these little bumps, is the back area. And when I move my hand away, it's going to be to the right of her neck, kind of down in that lower area to get that area dark. And push that back and behind her shoulder. I did go over her neck just a little bit, and so I'm coming back in with my E50 and pushing that out a little bit. And it works really well. Coming back with the YR31, just to barely soften that texture and call it good. The shirt I'm basing in a BG72, and I'll fill that in part way, and I realized pretty fast that if I don't kind of mark some of those areas with my darker color, I'm going to lose some of those details. So BG75 comes in and hits the deeper or the darker areas of shading. And then I smooth that out and fill in the rest of the shirt with the BG72. So this is one of those times where there's really a lot of advantages to hitting some of those dark colors first. Jeans, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the darker color, which is that B95. And then I'm smoothing the edge and then filling the jeans in with B91. Little bit of BV23 on the inside cuff of that one foot sticking out. N1 is going in on the tennis shoes, and N3, so just a neutral gray, kind of like a white sneaker, but giving it a little bit of shape and form. Colorless blender, and I use that both on the jeans to kind of soften and make them look a little more worn and on the shoes. And then this is one of those areas you could simplify. She's got these big headphones and it's got all these little tiny compartments, but I'm going to use a series of those neutral grays again. So N1, 3, and 5. I probably should have started with that N5 again, kind of working out where I wanted those darkest areas to be, but I built up and kind of worked my way back through. The book, I'm kind of giving it a true cover and then it has some details on it. I'm mimicking a book that's actually sitting on my shelf right now. So I've got 3 kind of random colors. I've got the BG72, I've got an R08, and then the B91. I used a little bit of gray in on the pages, and then I bring that multi-liner, my Copic multi-liner, back in to add a few small details back on the book so I don't lose some of those edges. Just because I've decided to do the image no line doesn't mean I can't add any details with that black edge. So now the beanbag. I am going to do a series of B6s on the beanbag, and I'm going to start with the darkest B69, and that's going to be around the base. Remember, this is going to be kind of a round, soft form. So I'm going to start at the bottom where I know that edge is going to appear a little bit darker and kind of curve it up. B66 is next. So I start on the dark area and then work up into the white. By doing that, it's automatically, or it's blending as I go. So it's softening that transition between the two colors and then kind of curving up and around that beanbag. This particular series of colors has one big jump, and you'll see that here in a second. There it is, big jump from B66 to B63. So I'm going to have to sit and work this a little bit. So you can see I'm circling over that edge. So I'm hitting both the lighter area and the darker area. Then I'm coming back with my B66 and flicking onto the wet ink. Then working that again with that B63. Lastly, I have a B60 that's going in on the top edge. And then I'm coming back with B63 because she's now kind of lowering into. So I want to show that curve of her being lowered into that beanbag. So it gives kind of that roundness to that form. Why R31? Because I did hit a little piece of hair. So getting that brightened back up. Making sure to get the piece of beanbag that's kind of to the back side of her. So I'm going to add a background, but again, because this has already been so long, you'll kind of see that here at the end when I show you the whole finished card. I ended up adding a wood floor underneath her and kind of a creamy background behind her to go along with the papers that I picked for the card. But thanks so much to Kraftin Kimmie for letting me share one of her new releases this month. This is part of her July release. And if you haven't had a chance recently, stop by my blog at scrapweaver.com. We have a brand new season of fall Copic colleges coming up fairly quickly, and I'd love to see you there. Ask questions and I will check in. Have a happy, colorful day.